special meeting. I'm going a little bit over. We're getting a little later start. Hey there we are. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, July 10th City Council meeting. I invite you to participate in some mindfulness breathing to help open our City Council meeting. And if this is your first time here, we've been opening council meetings for over a year and a half this way, and I invite you to participate. If you prefer not to participate, just close your eyes or look downward, or stare at us up at here. That's okay too. So close your eyes and get comfortable in your chair where you're sitting, and have both of your feet planted on the floor if you can. And sit back in your chair and find a way to relax your shoulders. And start bringing attention to your breath. Notice if you're a little breathy, breathing a little harder. And we're going to start to focus on taking some slower breaths. I like to count to 4 as an inward breath and exhale on 5, counting in my brain. Give you some time to do 3 breaths, counting on 4, and inhale and exhale on 5. Sometimes silence can feel a little awkward. Silence can be our friend, helping us orientate our thoughts to a community meeting where folks are watching at home or in the audience here, and really just want to say, express my gratitude for being a part of your local government, paying attention to what's happening in your community. Remember to wish yourself well and express wellness to the person sitting next to you if you're in person here today. And so let's come together as a community, and we're all here trying to better our city. So with that, let's stand and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so next up is roll call.
James.
Here.
Leaks May.
Here.
Mikulski.
Here.
Polika.
Here.
Piana.
Here. Next up is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as published.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem James and supported by Mikulski.
James.
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes.
Polika.
Yes.
Piana.
Yes. All right, we are moving on to presentations, and we have 3 tonight. And first up is 4A, which is our Rain Barrel Program, a wrap-up presentation. And presenting tonight is Claire Dion, our Zero Waste Coordinator.
Hello, good evening.
Got a rain barrel hiding behind that?
I wish I did. That would be super exciting.
The magic trick?
No, I hope some of you guys, though, were able to at least check out the rain barrel demonstration that we had at City Hall for about a month and a half. Hopefully you guys were able to see it. It was right by the front doors. It's not there any longer. We did remove it now that the program is over, but I think that was a pretty cool opportunity to kind of showcase everything to the residents. But let's get started here. All right. Okay, so today I am going to be speaking about the Rain Barrel Grant Program now that we are starting to wrap up, and I actually do have some guests with me that I'm going to be bringing up in just a few moments here to kind of help share the story and kind of present everything that we've been working so hard on. So the purpose really of this presentation is just to kind of showcase the successful partnership that the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission has worked on, in partnership with the city, for the distribution of rain barrels to over 400 households in our community as part of a climate action plan implementation. So the reason we were able to make this program possible was through grant funding through the state of Michigan. EGLE was kind enough to provide $40,000 in reimbursable funding to the city without any match to help us meet some of our climate action plan goals that are in the systems category, which relate to some stormwater challenges that every city deals with, especially when you have combined sewer systems. So we're able to utilize $35,000 to distribute rain barrels at a discount to our entire community, as well as utilize some of that funding for educational materials, since this program, which was a year-long, really focused on the importance of water conservation, as well as just general environmental education, and using it as an opportunity to connect with residents and share more sustainability information and how they can utilize their household to be a part of the change. So just a general recap. I know I've been screaming it from the rooftops for a year now, but what is a rain barrel? Rain barrels, they just connect to your downspout, and they help collect and store rainwater off of your rooftop so you can utilize it for later use. And rain barrels can really help you save water and redirect it for your landscape, or for many uses, and it can even help protect your home in times of heavy rain so that you don't deal with as severe flooding challenges. And something I really liked about this program was that we utilized recycled food grade barrels. So all of our barrels came from olive and pickle barrels that were used to transport food products overseas from Greece to the US. And so instead of throwing away all of those barrels, we were able to give them a second life and turn them into these water conservation uses by adding, screens and faucets and the connection, everything that we needed to make them efficient. There's plenty of benefits to a rain barrel, and we made sure to really, drill these benefits to all of our residents that were able to purchase one, just so that they knew exactly how they were helping our community, through water conservation, which definitely has a greater impact. The cost savings is more of a personal benefit. The educational opportunities really to tie the rain barrel program into other programs that we offer at the city, like Plan Natural Landscape, or different green infrastructure programs, and to kind of create a holistic view of sustainability, so we're not always just thinking about waste or water or plants, but instead we can kind of tie them all together. And it really helps create enhanced resilience. Having that alternative water source during times of drought can be really powerful, especially if you're an avid gardener and you rely on some of your food crops that you grow for sustenance. It's really great to have that opportunity to utilize that water at other times. And then this picture here is actually one that we received from a resident who installed their rain barrel with a very impressive rain barrel stand that, the more you elevate your rain barrel, the better water pressure you're going to get. So I wanted to make sure to include that, just to show off that great residential DIY build. But throughout this year-long process, we've hosted lots of community events and different educational opportunities to really help drive the message home. And, we weren't able to really work on this whole process without the commissioners from the Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission. So I wanted to invite some of them up today just to give a brief opportunity to kind of share how this program has impacted them, and how the partnership with the FESC has been a powerful, method of program introduction. So come on up. I will let them introduce themselves, and I want to make sure that they do their due diligence to share how amazing they've been in terms of supporting this process, but just in case they're not as honest as they need to be, they've been a super valuable asset throughout this entire program, and we've really needed to utilize a lot of volunteer hours to make this happen, and to host as many events and reach as many residents as we were able to. So I'm going to give them the floor for a couple minutes.
Hello.
Thanks, Claire.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Nicole Ladouceur-Janowitz, and I've been on the FESC since 2020, and
I'm Jim Janowitz, who has also been on the FESC since 2020.
Jim has more to say about it since he had presented this idea to the FESC in 2021, but at a high level, we had a subcommittee formed in 2022, and we had a lot of meetings. We had a lot of meetings to come up with a communication strategy. We had a rain barrel on display at the library. We had literature sent out to residents, so we worked with the city to initially craft that. But Jim, you have more to say about it since
Sure.
you were, this was.
I'm Jim Janowitz, the Pied Piper of rain barrels, I guess, here in Ferndale. I'm an advocate for it since I moved here 18 years ago. And I really wanted to bring it to the residents because I knew the impact it would have on just mitigating all the flooding that we've had in this area with 100-year storms coming about every 10 years now. Combined sewer overflows happen all the time here. We don't have the infrastructure to deal with what's coming. This is the chance to mitigate it. And my research to present to the FESC indicated we might be able to sell 100 barrels, maybe 200 barrels, because this was the first time we were having such an event. And through the grant that Claire got for us, we were able to double that. We were able to get 400 barrels. So the city FESC partnership, that partnership worked well. As did all of the volunteers. As Nicole had mentioned, we had a subcommittee that ran for half of last year to work out the bits of it, just to figure out what we wanted to package for our residents, where we wanted to source that for our residents. All of the details we really worked through over the course of last year. And it's been a labor of love for me since I joined the FESC. And I'm so happy that it came to fruition as successfully as it did. And I'm sure Claire has a lot more details of all the various places we've got these barrels. And I hand it back over to Claire.
Thank you. Thank you both for being volunteers on our FESC.
Yeah, and it's been a really great opportunity for partnership as well, just because I'm no rain barrel expert myself. Maybe after this whole year, now I can consider myself one. But, you know, being really focusing on zero waste earlier here at the city, it was great to rely on, you know, Jim's kind of, you know, long history of experience with rain barrels to really choose the right type of barrel for the city. We did a lot of you know, very intentional choosing of the product to make sure that it was long lasting, that it would work for everyone, and that's just not something that I would have been able to bring, as well as, you know, utilizing everybody's knowledge. So, you know, part of, I think, the reason that this program was so unique was because of the commission that introduced the sliding scale price options. So we sold our rain barrel kits at either $30, $60, or $90, depending on the either need for affordability or the wish to pay it forward. And we saw that this was a really huge hit with the community. We had, you know, almost equal amounts of people that paid the $30 and the $90, and it was a really great way to kind of subsidize the low income pricing, as well as you know, using the pay it forward pricing to kind of create that balance. So I really, you know, recommend this type of structure with other projects and programs, just because we saw such great success with it, you know, with being able to increase the accessibility and the inclusivity, and then, like I said, the revenue generation to kind of help balance those costs, so that we were able to distribute, you know, more rain barrels than we even thought we could with the grant funding that we had available because of this sliding scale. Our distribution process was really, you know, not super unique with other programmings, but we did have, you know, we did the online registration process. We made sure to, you know, order all the correct numbers of materials, and we hosted 4 different collection events, 4 different sales throughout the months of April and May, and really targeting those spring months, I think, were part of the reasons for our success as well. Everybody's thinking about rain in the spring. So we were able to distribute 359 rain barrels through these 4 sales, as well as we're currently working on installing rain barrels to all 43 of the single-family housing commission properties, just to help further increase our accessibility. This here is a map of the distribution of where all of the rain barrels ended up, so it's really cool to see that we had a generally even distribution, that every quadrant of Ferndale definitely has rain barrels there, and because they all look the same, they're that terracotta red color, be sure to be on the lookout as you're driving or walking through Ferndale to see those rain barrels on people's properties. So like I said, we distributed over 400 rain barrels, which means that over 400 households now have this green infrastructure tool and are able to learn about its benefits. And I think there's a great opportunity to host more sales in the future and continue to contribute to our climate action plan goals. The partner that we worked with was Michigan Rain Barrel and MI Rain Barrel. They were the supplier of all of our materials, and they host sales in communities all across Southeast Michigan. So partnering with them again in the future would really be a great opportunity to kind of keep this success going. So because we distributed, even more than 400 rain barrels throughout the city, stormwater runoff, can be reduced by 1.8 million gallons of water annually when all of the rain barrels are in use effectively. So that just goes to show that, if one person, one household has a rain barrel, that's great, but there is power in numbers to really make a difference. And again, I just want to give a huge thank you to the community for all the participation and engagement that we've got throughout this whole process. It was really a fun project to work on to see how many people it touched, and we got really great resident feedback. Even though our first sale was in the rain, very fitting, thunderstorms, but everybody still showed up with a smile on their face, and they were willing to wait in an extra long line as we dealt with, wet technology, wet papers, and we were really just trying to get a handle on it. But it ended up working out really well, and again, I need to give a huge thanks to the Commission for their continued support and collaboration in sustainable water management efforts, and I'm excited to kind of continue this work and keep it going. That is all I have for you this evening. If you have any questions or comments, feel free, but if not, just take in the information and know that you helped support a positive impact on the community.
Through the chair, I'd love to make some comments, if
Please.
you'll permit. I'm just so happy that we did this program. It's almost bittersweet to see it coming to a final conclusion. But I kind of want to highlight the different levels of impact that this has. As a resident, my household experienced combined sewer system overflows about 8 times before we were able to invest in having a sump pump installed, having a backflow valve installed, and we can continue to still get seepage and stuff around our foundation. So having a program that gives residents the ability to mitigate some of those worse stormwater implications, I think is really powerful to be able to not just
milestone for accessibility and civil rights for people with disabilities. And the City of Ferndale, Michigan proclaims the month of July 2023 as Disability Pride Month, a growing holiday and movement from disability justice, culture, whereupon the month will be taken to highlight the history, stories, and organizations and practices that promote inclusion for people with disabilities. And the City of Ferndale also proclaims action wherein we take time to reflect on different disabilities and how the city and our community can continue to improve and remove barriers to be a place of choice to live, work, and visit for persons with disabilities. And the Ferndale City Council created the Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission to study the challenges related to barriers for persons with visual, hearing, cognitive, or mobility disabilities, and their interaction with the community, and to advise the City Council on its findings. And the City of Ferndale's vision as the benchmark for the modern community that embraces the richness of diversity and brings inclusive hospitality to the life includes strong commitment to serve all members of our community. And the City of Ferndale, Michigan affirms the principles of equality and inclusion for people with disabilities as set forth for the state of Michigan and as embodied by the American Disability Act, the laws of the state of Michigan, and the ordinances of the City of Ferndale. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Ferndale City Council hereby extends greetings and best wishes, all observing July 23 as Disability Pride Month and the 33rd anniversary of Americans with Disabilities Act. I got it all out, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to read that.
All right. Okay, now we're moving on to our regular agenda, and we only have one item tonight, and it is 8A, resolution to form a 2024 financial review committee, and I'll hand that over to the manager.
Excuse me, council, please give me just one moment. All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. To the community, I'll just provide a presentation from up here, and after that, when there's discussion, if you don't mind, I'll just resume my seat at the council. So I am presenting an overview tonight of the resolution that would form a 2024 Finance Review Committee. I will begin just with a general overview of the mission of the task force or committee that has been outlined. So we'll begin with the objective. Broadly, the objective is just having a committee form a recommendation about the potential of a 2024 millage ballot initiative, based on three key factors to understand what are the property tax implications of a millage or without a millage, what are the implications on staffing levels and government service levels, and then how does it forward progress on the 2022 Facilities Task Force recommendations. The questions that would be sought to answer would how a millage renewal will sustain current staffing and service levels, and the same for no renewal. How a millage renewal could impact the facility's progress, and how no renewal could equally impact the progress. And generally, as an overview, there was an expectation to provide an estimated property tax summary. So whether there's a millage renewed or no millage renewed, at whatever level that might be, we will provide we'll be asked to provide a general impact statement on multiple different types of property values. So there's really a yes or no road here. So on the yes side, if a millage is favored, these are the implications that are laid out in the memo to council. Let's study the feasibility and impacts of implementing a general Headley override millage. Study the feasibility and impacts of implementing the funding strategies that are listed in the 2022 Facilities Task Force report. So the Facilities Task Force studied, they provided a long-term facilities plan that prioritizes and casts a vision for how to address city facility deficiencies. And then they studied the funding, understanding that the city doesn't have the means to do it without new funding. But they didn't answer the question as to how to do that. They studied ways, and then they provide an opinion on the ways, but there's no formal recommendation there. So that needed further study. And study feasibility and impacts of implementing specific millage alternatives. So to that point on that first bullet, that is just seeking information about Headley. There are alternatives, a facilities only millage, a public safety millage, an Act 345 public safety pension millage, for example. There are different kinds of millages that can be studied as well. And that could be included in the questions that need to be answered. Conversely, if a millage is not favored, the committee must understand local government labor market conditions. The whole industry has changed. Every industry, I would say, has changed in the past 4 years, but specifically government has changed. I can speak to the change in government. It's been drastic. Labor market inflationary pressures have had a huge impact on recruitment and on retention in the workforce. So those are factors in service operations, which are a function of revenues. Got to understand, we have current collective bargaining agreements. And those agreements have terms that are in place, and those agreements also reflect those market conditions, and those have all been negotiated within the past year. They got to understand the average what a fully burdened employee is, why that's important, and how that looks across all different departments. Different departments offer different budgetary programs. City Council and I have adopted program-based budgeting, and that is a budget philosophy that says government doesn't provide line items, we provide programs. So when we make resource decisions, we should be thinking more about what to keep rather than what to cut. And that's what program-based budgeting does. It helps you understand how funding is distributed to support different programs offered by different departments. And then an introduction to government fund accounting. And again, that's just really making sure we're clear on what a general operating millage funds, the general fund, and what it doesn't fund. Act 51, for example, that's a common misunderstanding. Act 51 is a whole separate revenue source that we get from the state, dedicated only to fund improvements on street infrastructure like the Woodward Moves project. So that is not, Act 51 money shouldn't be commingled with general services. And that's just basic fund accounting, and that's on us to provide that overview. Staff, us being staff. 2024 budget refresh. I was trying to be cute with my icon. I actually caught myself there for a minute and couldn't remember. Sorry. Government is a service provider, so this is a flashback from the budget, and it does, I found it relevant for this discussion. So a general overview, why is this committee being formed now? Because we generally provide services. 70% of our organizational budget is based on personnel expenditures, and that's really a standard for local government, because local government as an industry provides services. We don't create widgets. We do service and people. So that is the majority of our budget, 3/4. 5% of our budget is capital. So when we're talking about making budgetary decisions and we're talking about how to really affect that, there's often an inclination to cut capital. The reality is capital represents about 5% of our operating budget. And cutting capital also does impact government service delivery. And some of our capital isn't cuttable. Like, for example, our fire engines. Council approved one, I think 18 months ago, and we're still waiting for it. But that is just one of multiple engines that need to be replaced. Speak of the devil. We have several engines that need to be replaced and that are beyond their useful life cycle that need to be replaced, and those cost about $800,000 per engine. So some capital isn't cuttable. So these are the things that we need to understand when we're talking about examining city finances. This is a slide from the April budget presentation that just also illustrates what I was talking about with the changes in government. This specifically was isolating the changes from one fiscal year, last fiscal year to this fiscal year. There's a 7% jump in expenditures. What makes up that 7%? Really two major things are driving that. The cost of labor has increased by 8% in 1 year, and that's a reflection of the market conditions and inflationary pressures. And then you also have annual pension obligations. This is just a reflection of the changing workforce, right? We have old legacy pension obligations, and we have legacy retiree services that we have agreements that we've made in the past, and we have to honor those agreements, and the cost of those change with the change of the workforce. So you see 100% increase in our annual pension obligation expenses between 2020 and now. So that's just in the last 3 years, which we do a 3-year budget, fiscal 3 years. That's increased by 100%, which is a reflection of the change in the workforce. So that's the expense side. On the flip side, on the revenue side, we're really looking at, there's always so many sources that local governments get revenues, and 51% of local government revenues in Michigan, in Ferndale are 51%, but that's pretty fair in Michigan. The majority of local government revenues in cities rely on property taxes. The rest are variable, largely with state revenue sharing. The state has been cutting their local revenue sharing since 2004 to the tune of about $1.8 million annually, is what Ferndale has not seen from the state since they've kept that in Lansing rather than distribute that locally. So forward-looking impacts, this again really closes out why this committee is here, because we have to look at that fiscal cliff that really is a decision point. That's, excuse the hyperbole, but it's a matter of 30% of our property tax revenues, and that's significant. So there is decision points that come with that change. And so we have brought back to the committee. The committee is going to be looking at, with an eye towards that 2024, 2025 budget year. And we proposed seven members for the committee. Similar to other committees, we've defined a chairperson role, a vice chair role, and a member role. Now, this committee is going to be subject to the Open Meetings Act, so we'll operate in the same kind of Robert's Rule kind of procedure. The only caveat is they have a lot of work to do in a little time, so we are changing some of the dynamics of the meeting organization to make sure that we're emphasizing the work product on the front end as best we can. The preferred resident applicant experience, there's been a couple bullets highlighted given the subject matter that we're looking at. So to be a task force member or committee member, sorry, you would have to be a resident, first and foremost. Encouraging, because of the facilities piece to this, there is an encouragement of facilities task force experience, which might shorten the learning curve for this committee to better understand where the task force was when they made those recommendations, why they made those recommendations, and what their mindset was when they reviewed the funding that's cited in the report. So having a task force member or two might help shorten the learning curve there. Someone from the finance industry, real estate, development, construction management, all of these things are relevant for the facilities questions and the finance questions that this committee is really going to be taking a look at. And with that, I would leave it with City Council for discussion, and any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Joe, for the presentation and working with council to help prepare the direction in the Finance Review Committee. And I just wanted to say providing direction and insights and comments to get to this sort of structure of the review committee. If I may just have the liberty, we're taking what we've learned from the past, from 10 years ago when this came to the council at the time. 13 years ago, thank you. 13 years ago, it was renewed after 5 years and sunsets after 10. So 10 years of residents supporting, or 13 years, no, 15 years of residents supporting a Headley in its entirety when it sunsets in 2025. So I'm just going to kick it over to council members to ask questions for Joe, if you have additional thoughts or questions at this time. Or comments. I'm not going to hold you to like a public hearing of 4 steps.
Through the chair, one thing that did come to mind during your presentation, actually, Joe, is that I think I would recommend, doesn't have to be a formal preference, but I would recommend that we reach out to the folks who completed the Ferndale Learn program as potential applicants for this committee as well, because I think that they got quite a bit of education about how government operates, how it's financed. They got sort of a consolidated version of the facilities task force experience. So that might be another pool of primed candidates.
Great suggestion. Anybody else would like to make a comment, suggestion?
Through the chair, just a quick question. How do you plan on communicating this to the public to get applicants? And will they be applying through like our Seamless Docs online?
Yeah, through the chair, it's really going to be a similar process to what was undertaken for the 2022 Facilities Task Force and more recently our Community Police Advisory and Review Board, CPARB. We had a similar kind of public process with that on the application side. We'll work with the Communications Department on actually pushing that application, but it will be fully available at paper at City Hall or online, and we'll have a shareable advertisement for council and other community members to circulate. We'll also directly share with board and commission members, current board and commission members, and any participants. Ferndale Learn's a great suggestion. And I apologize, I didn't actually, for the public, I'm alluding to a lot of work in a little time, and I didn't put a timeline slide up here, so I can articulate that better now. A lot of work, so what we would like to do is advertise for this role this week and leave that open through August, and then by the end of August, the resolution asks the city manager, or I'm sorry, asks the mayor and council to approve the committee, so it's formed, and then that committee can begin meeting in September. The suggestion is meeting at least bi-weekly through the end of the year, through December, and then ultimately January's report drafting and presentation to the next council in February. Why that's important, we're working backward from an actual timeline. If we are to put anything on a ballot initiative, we have to have our direction clear going into April of next year. So we have to work backwards from April, and that's kind of what I worked backward from when I put together this timeline. It is quite compressed, and there is a lot of information to sort through. So the sooner we can get this out, the better, for sure.
And can you clarify that April timeline is linked to state requirements?
Yeah,
right?
we have a process. We have a process to actually put something on a ballot, right? And that's going to be a general election next year. So there's going to be a lot of state requirements and county requirements to actually go through in order to successfully get that on the ballot.
Is the timing an August ballot or November, or does the financial task force help do with that, or is that a state timing issue?
That would be out of my wheelhouse. I'm thinking it's either, those would be the only elections we would be able to hit in terms of timelines, would be August or November, but I would leave that decision to a future council or a future public committee.
Okay. Yeah, the future council will have to decide August or November and determine the timing of that, right, early on.
In 2024, those would be the only two that we would be able to get in time.
The way that I describe this is a baton pass, setting up the future council with citizen-supported recommendations so that voters can make educated decisions next year. And as former Mayor Coulter always said, as part of being two Headley overrides, it's up to the voters to decide the type of services they want, and they vote for that. And so, and the city has a education component about how that's going to work, and that the city staff cannot actually campaign for a yes or a no vote, but they are allowed to educate whereas council members can do both in their role as elected officials. So I want to be very clear about the roles and responsibilities between council and what staff can and cannot do, and what legally city can do. Cannot support a yes or a vote no campaign, but can educate our residents about how the Headley and Prop A works and taxes and everything like that.
Through the chair. Joe, you want council to be able to approve the members by the August 28th council meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I was hoping to leave the Labor Day holiday being able to form my communications with the committee and organizing.
What date are you hoping to receive applications by?
I haven't targeted a specific date, but I would say the second week of August. If I'm to get it on the agenda, my materials would have to be complete by the seven days prior to
Yeah.
the council
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah, well, and the mayor needs to be able to review that.
And talk to all of you.
Well, yeah.
And is there time, like the CPARB, we extended the deadline to see if we could get more applicants, and we, increased the applicants by 50% by extending another week. Is there any slack in the timeline to do that in the event we might need it?
Well, if we have to do that, we have to do that. We'll have to create our own slack.
Okay,
It's a tight timeline, so we'll just have to steal from January or steal from somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you have to, you have to, right? So.
I may. Councilwoman Mikulski asked about communications. One thing that we have different here from the CPARB was that the CPARB application, we could put it in the quarterly newsletter because it hit timing right. And we don't have the quarterly newsletter hitting over the next 2 months where we could promote this in there. What workarounds has the team talked about to increase awareness? Because that newsletter is pretty incredible in terms of, increasing eyes and awareness on that.
I think that's a conversation I need to have with my communications director.
Okay.
We'll be able to deliver that feedback to you probably by Wednesday.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, please.
If I may, through the chair. So this framework looks to be very thorough, and because I know that, because we kind of gone through this same kind of framework with the CPARB and received some really great applicants, I'm confident that we'll have a diverse group of applicants for this as well. I noticed that on the resolution, I just want to make sure, there's just, some clerical here, that it indicates that the task force may meet biweekly between September and December 2023. Meetings are expected to take place in the evenings for no more than 2 hours. The final report shall be delivered to City Council by February 2024, but you have 2023 there, so I just, we need to have that corrected. Because I'm presuming that this resolution is going to be made public for creating the Finance Committee and the framework.
Correct, yeah. Through the chair, if there needs to be an amendment, council can make that amendment. We can revise a motion to adopt the resolution as amended. 2024 did keep tripping me up. I apologize for that.
Wait a minute.
Good catch.
I'm right here, I just changed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a different timeline.
I think this is thorough. I think this is thorough, and excited to see who our applicants will be and ready to move this forward.
Can you talk a little bit about the public meeting approach with the task force and how that will work?
Yeah, I'm expecting, as always, I've left with CPARB. I'm going to leave that to the chair that I work with to organize the framework for the meetings through them. But I expect that we'll meet in council chambers because it's the most convenient for a lot of reasons. So most meetings I would expect to be here. I'm anticipating that these folks will prefer to meet during the evenings, but I don't know that to be true. I'll work with them. We will likely have a pretty typical agenda layout such as this, only the public comment will be located near the end of the agenda. So the public will have an opportunity to comment and provide feedback, questions on what they've heard at that meeting. But the focus of the meeting is the task at hand, which is staff educating them or providing any materials that they've requested on the front end, giving them the opportunity to ask more questions about those materials. And then the public can comment essentially as the digestion part of the agenda at the end of the agenda. If there's any questions, we can always come into the next meeting. I do believe there will probably be a couple road shows that are likely with the facilities. So I'm expecting that they'll ask for a tour of the facilities to see what the task force saw. Ferndale Learn, I'm basing that off Ferndale Learn because they asked for that. So, which is happy. That just means, we will be able to advertise that. We just have to notice those location meetings in advance to give the public an opportunity. They are not easily accessible spaces, so we also have to make sure that we're clear on setting expectations on how many people can be in one place at one time. Those are details we'll have to manage.
All right, is there a?
Through the chair, if you'll allow me to share. So I was, as Mr. Whitey mentioned in his comments about being on the 2010 task force, or financial review committee, I can't remember what we called it. But I was on that committee as well, and it was quite an eye-opener. There were a lot of difficulties that we had to overcome that this board or committee won't have to deal with. We were dealing with the fact that we're coming out of a financial crisis, and it extremely impacted the budget. The other part was the fact that the budget was totally line-based, so we had to have a huge education on what each line impacted each department. You'd have, $500,000 for park maintenance. Well, what did that include exactly? It didn't cut out, equipment, buildings, lawn cutting. We had to figure out what was included in that, whereas now we're program-based, so it's going to be much easier for this committee to review and understand the budget. But it's really, really a great opportunity for people to understand, the impact that the sunset of the Headley override is going to have on our budget. And it will allow, residents to have an opportunity to have a say into what's important, which is what we had an opportunity when we were on the commission, is to say, these things were more important than other things. And even though we were able to have the Headley override, we still had to cut a dozen, looking at the chief, police chief, I think it was a dozen employees we still had to cut. We still had to cut a huge chunk out of Parks and Rec because the override didn't cover everything. So there's going to be a lot of hard decisions that people are going to have to make, and I think it's great that we're allowing the residents to make that, have that opportunity to make.
I'm in support of the financial task, the financial review committee, but I'm also in support of renewing the Headley, whatever form it takes. This would be my third support of it. And, I gave an exit interview to Ferndale Friends today, and I said I was one of the most proudest accomplishments is innovating in city government services, and the Headley allowed us to do that, to go from do a 180 on how we were structured to create the type of organization that really is responsive to residents, and that if we didn't have the Headley, I'm not sure we would have innovated. And you know, we didn't even have a communications department then. And we somehow educated the residents without a three-person team, communications department about Headley and Prop A. And we didn't have priority or program-based budgeting, as you said, Councilman Polika. So, but times change, times are different. There's pressure points that our community is feeling. But I would hope that the city has been showing the value of your taxes and the value of the services that you get. And voters have always approved the last 2 times that they value a city with strong services. But we need to make that case again, and it was citizens-led at the time, and it will be citizens-led again. And I appreciate any resident who is interested to apply. It really is a combination to make sure that we have a broad perspective and different backgrounds, and everybody's voice is valued. But of course, we can't seat everybody on there, and I think that's the hardest part of being an appointee or making the appointees. I can't, council can't approve putting everybody on a committee. So that's kind of the hardest part, going through all the applications, and deciding who. But there's always a space to join Fern and Learn. I hope we do this again next year and participate in these open public meetings going forward. So with that, we need a motion to move forward.
I have one, through the chair, one final set of comments before we move into that. And overall, I would just urge flexibility in how we go about this. Flexibility in how we interpret the kind of core competencies and experiences. I struggled when I looked at this list because I felt like there are other, job titles and educational backgrounds that I think would serve this committee very well, but I struggled to define 1 or 2 additional ones. So I hope that in the way that we market this, we don't set this out as a rigid list, but as a kind of, in the spirit of something like this, or related fields. And similarly with the task force meeting schedule, I hope that there be some flexibility as opposed to rigid biweekly, because through November and December especially, we'll have to work with people's conflicting calendars, and they might want to double up on meetings in early December so they don't have to do them in later December. So overall, I'm urging flexibility in how this is interpreted, though I think the core is headed in the right direction.
I do want to add that I also take a look at how long you've lived here, what other volunteer opportunities have gone through or have done for the city, or if you're brand new or someone who just bought a house. I mean, it really is making sure we have a really good broad mix of people. And so I'm appreciative of you saying, don't be beholden to that. That's why it says preferred, but I encourage everybody to apply. And if you like group work and you hark back to college, that's exactly what it feels like. So it is intense group work of listening and understanding and hearing others' perspectives as well. So that's the dynamic of doing these types of citizen-led task forces. And I think, were we having a council liaison to this committee too? Was that what I read in there?
I'm pretty sure I saw it.
Yeah, through the chair, there's a role for a council liaison like there was. And
We appointed another council. When did we do that last? It wasn't for CPARB. It was
No,
for
it
the
was for the facilities.
task
Yeah,
force.
I was the
Or the liaison.
liaison.
Um,
I don't know if we, sorry, through the chair. I don't know if we necessarily have to appoint someone today.
No, but I encourage council to talk with one another if you're interested. It is extra duty on top of your other responsibilities on boards and commissions. And so please express your interest to me and other board members or council members.
An alternate too.
Yeah. That's a great idea. We might have to do alternates, given the other responsibilities of council members, if you're okay with that.
Well, you didn't consider an alternate when I was on the facilities.
Learn from that. We learn from that. We so appreciate you. And I think that's a lesson going forward. And just to let everybody know, there were no city council liaisons to this for obvious reasons.
No.
So, all right. Any other questions or comments? Board.
Mayor, I move that we approve the resolution to form a financial review committee as submitted by the city
Support.
By James and supported by Polika.
What? Moved by me.
Oh.
Point of inquiry, did you want to include in your motion, the typo that you pointed out previously?
And that the resolution shall be amended to include, where is it? Okay. Shall be amended to include that the city council, that the committee be presented, or the findings from the committee be presented in front of city council at the
February
the February 2024 meeting.
I support that
Okay.
amendment.
Okay. Moved by Leaks May and supported by Polika.
Leaks May,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mikulski,
Yes.
Piana.
Yes. All right, that concludes our agenda for the evening. It is still summer for a July agenda. And now we're going to move on to call to council, starting with city department updates.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll begin tonight with the city clerk's office.
Just a reminder for anyone interested in running for city council or for mayor that the deadline to file nominating petitions and the affidavit of identity is due at 4 p.m. on July 25th. Although we do encourage anybody who is still collecting signatures to provide those to the city clerk's office early if they can.
Thank you, Dean. Next, Kyle Rice, give an update on behalf of economic development.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I have two items for you. First is I would like to inform everyone that Plan Ferndale, that's our master plan that we adopted back in September, was selected by the Michigan Association of Planning for their outstanding Daniel Burnham Award for a comprehensive plan. So this is part of the 2023 Planning Excellence Awards. We will be recognized at the MAP annual conference in October up in Traverse City. So I want to say, congratulations and thank you to all. There were a lot of people involved with this. As you know, I jumped on very late in the process, so I really can't take any of the credit. So I would like to recognize Kathleen Duffy and Smith Group. She really did a lot of the work in terms of getting this developed and drafted. They certainly did all the graphics. They made it the beautiful document that it is today. And Kathleen also shepherded it through a lot of turnover in my department. I mean, quite literally, the people who started with her in terms of city personnel was completely changed entirely by the time it finished. So I think it's pretty amazing what Kathleen did in the process. In terms of who was there when it started, I'd like to recognize Jordan Twardy, Aaron Cattell, and Justin Lyons. So I know they all have their fingerprints in this, and I am sure they're going to be very happy about this too. And then last, I'd like to give a recognition to Roger Caruso, who did shepherd it through at the end, and especially Christine Ross, who is sort of the bridge between these two groups. I think there was a period where it was just Christine on her own as a part-timer navigating this. So, congratulations to everybody. We're very excited and happy about it. My second item is to talk about the zoning ordinance rewrite, just a quick status update. So a few things that have been in motion since we last saw you, which was for the contract approval. We've been working with our consultant McKenna and moving through the process. We are sticking to the stated timeline. We have formed a steering committee. It's composed of a number of residents who are on various boards and commissions or otherwise very in love with the city, or several staff, some liaisons. So the steering committee is helping guide the process. They are informing McKenna, giving some insight into especially public engagement. We are meeting once a month. Since I last spoke to you all, we met at the June 21st Planning Commission meeting where we had a discussion. They presented their very detailed zoning ordinance audit. We had our first steering committee meeting with everyone where we discussed the public engagement, and that's really what we spent most of the time. We did discuss some sustainability topics as well. I guess the meat of what I'm here for is to talk about some public engagement. The first event will be July 22nd, that's a Saturday, at Urban Rest Brewery from 12 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. This is on housing diversity, so we're going to be looking at items such as affordable housing, duplexes and triplexes, how can we expand this, and especially ADUs, accessory dwelling units. That's honestly one of the biggest ones that I'm excited to look into.
Kyle, what time was that at?
And that is from noon to 3:30 at Urban Rest.
July 22nd.
So in terms of communication, we are working with McKenna, who's creating some nice graphics. We're going to be pushing that on city channels. We've already been in touch with communications. We're also going to be spreading the word, sort of like we did with the master plan process, posting it in public places and also private places that enjoy helping us out. The other item that is upcoming is on July 27th. This is public engagement related to downtown design. So we're going to be doing a walking tour, which will be here at City Hall. Actually, we'll be meeting in council chambers at 12:30. There's a walk, and we're going to go walk all the way down 9 Mile and back, visit a few specific properties. In addition to that, we'll have a little recap here after the tour, and then we have a general engagement session. Street Sounds is that night, and we will set up a table, try to catch some people as they come by. We have 2 more public engagement.
Through the chair, you didn't say the date. I'm sorry, you didn't say the times.
Oh, so the walking tour is 12:30 to 2:30, and then the Street Sounds event is 6 to 9.
Okay.
And then we do have 2 more dates for the final 2 public engagement sessions. These are still tentative, but they will be in mid-late August. So we do have one with related to racial equity. How has zoning been exclusionary in the past, and how can it be more effective and inclusionary with our new ordinance? We are working with the Ferndale School District to coordinate with them on that event. And then in late August, we do have one on sustainability. Obviously, the Plan Ferndale has a huge component on sustainability and climate action goals. So we are looking forward to that. In terms of the very next upcoming meetings, we do have our monthly check-in with McKenna. We have a steering committee at the end of the month. And then for the next council meeting, I think we're going to have a more in-depth catch-up and thorough discussion with McKenna here. So with that, I will follow up with emails and invites, but I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Congratulations to you and the CED team for getting the Daniel Burnham Award, and to Kathleen Duffy at Smith Group. That is an amazing accomplishment by our team, and having that recognition of our combined master plan and climate action plan, which I'm sure was the helpful item to get us over that, finish line, and then final candidate. And it's a huge feather in the city's cap to be recognized for such a community-supported plan. Thanks for all your effort, and I know you just came in at the end, but I know it was a lot of work to get it over the finish line with all the changeover in staffing. Really appreciative of you and Christine and Roger and Emily, everybody who contributed. And now you're going to do a lot more work going forward on the zoning reform. So thank you for continuing all of your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Kyle, I'd add too, the award also is a reflection of the quality staff we have. I mean, we have Team A and then Team B take over a project, mid-project, and just move it forward. Some of those team members were interns at the time and not full-time members. So we just have I think we have a high character of people in here, and the award is a testament to that. And to the mayor's point, the zoning project is no less shorter on admin needs. It's a quick turnaround. They have a lot of writing to do. They have a good 4 months of drafting probably, and legal drafting and legal review to do. So getting out ahead of it right now in the summer, it might feel compressed. It's a big project, and it's got to be done in a short amount of time. So.
And highly technical.
Nice job to you and the team. Next, I'm going to ask our communications director to come up. They did a thing last week.
Sure did. Hello. I'm actually giving a presentation at the next council meeting, which coincides with, so we did this as a soft launch, and then we're going to do an official launch. But I just want to kind of give a little briefer today while we're all hanging out here.
I love the new site, by the way.
Thank you.
I can find things.
That is the goal. Oh, I love that this is there we go. I'm leaving. I'm going home. So yeah, so we officially soft launched the new website a week ago Friday, I believe. And, so far successful. We've heard more good than we've heard about problems, which is what we want. Like I said, again, I'm going to get up and do a more comprehensive presentation next time. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to communication staff and everybody here. Councilwoman Mikulski, Hadro Design, our Ferndale-based company who actually made the site. It was a photo finish. It was a push. As I'm sure you've been through this many times, it's tough enough with a staff of 10 or 20, but with a staff of 2, there's only literally so much you can do in a day. And oftentimes internally we call websites kind of feeding the beast. And she's a pretty beast, but she takes a lot, a lot more than our last website did. There's so many more photos and ways for us to highlight information, which is wonderful in the long run, but it's required a lot. And so I would just encourage people to visit the site, see if they can find what they're looking for, scroll through. We have navigation redone now so that basically along the top we're looking at government, which is all of our departments, information for residents, visitors, and people within the business community, and then parking calendar, news, and contact here at the end. That's a change. Park Ferndale used to be a standalone site. Now we have it all grouped in together. And I also, since we're up here, I want to point out 2 things. First of all is that we have this little accessibility person down here, and he follows you throughout your site experience. So anywhere you see him, you can click on him, and you have about 50 different opportunities here to customize the site experience for you. For example, vision impaired makes things larger and makes the contrast deeper. If you have ADHD, it allows you to scroll through the information slowly and gray out everything else that's around. We can even go down here and then put on significantly more, like for example, readable font allows us then to hover over things. Nope, I picked the wrong one, I'm sorry. Anyway, we can hover over text, make it bigger, we can change the contrast, we can do dark against light, light against dark, and on and on and on. Tons of opportunities. So we'll go more into that next time I'm up here talking. However, since I'm looking at Councilwoman Leaks May, I do want to show you that
Woo, I can feel it. I can feel it.
you know it's coming. Coming. Community partners. We have opportunities to highlight things, like, for example, the Ferndale
Hallelujah.
Historical
Thank you.
Society. And as we're going through and making all of the updates to the site and, preparing for the official launch of this, we are writing a style guide to go with it. That includes a calendar. So how often do these kinds of things change? What qualifies as the kind of thing we would highlight in these places? How long do they stay up, and et cetera. Again, time consuming, but that will put a roadmap forward for whoever is going to be continuing on the website. So are there any questions?
No questions. I know that the fixes and minor fixes are, continuing, and people are sending you recommendations. I just want to let you know that when you click on pay parking and bills, it takes you to the Ferndale District Court payment page.
I actually got that recommendation, and thank you that we have that on the list. We have lists going day by day, so high-level fixes first, low-level fixes second, but that's on the list for tomorrow, so I appreciate that. We do have on all of our main navigation pages, we have a little banner here. We invite people to click here to take them to a seamless form that allows them to really quickly and easily submit any kinds of issues that they're experiencing, and that we can then streamline everything together.
Through the chair, is that the sort of preferred best way of communicating broken links, missing information, using that form? Do you prefer that to, say, emailing you?
Yes, we'll take it any way it comes, honestly. We invite anybody who experiences it to let us know. But this is allowing us almost like a ticket system to then put through. We can organize them every day. We can, shuffle them through. And so we've asked staff to do the same thing. This is the way we've gotten most of them, and it's been easy for us to work with. So yes.
We will direct people to fill out that form.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great job. Looks great.
Thank you very much.
And I love the
Kara.
new photography in
Brighter.
it. I know, it does look brighter.
Very robust project, more professional administration. Nice job. It looks awesome. And fewer websites. I like that. Chief Evie, with an update from the police department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple quick things. Street Corner Roundtable is scheduled for July 25th at 6 p.m. Melinda Couples from the CPARB is jumping in with both feet and hosting. So we're going to be hosting that at 3:30 East Marshall on July 25th at 6 p.m. Hopefully, tell your friends. It's who's who will be there. It should be a blast. Share a lot of good stories and meet some friends, hopefully, or make some friends. Also, I want to congratulate Dan Antosik. It's been a pleasure working with you, sir, for the last few years, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Chief. I'm going to let Dan close us out for tonight on the staff side.
So good evening tonight, Mayor and Council. So just to touch on our construction projects that we have going on right now. you'll see paving on all the streets that we have milled up right now. That'll go next week. So Bermuda, for example, we'll be paving all that out next week as we work through some concrete work in curing right now. West 9 Mile has been topped. So that project's actually coming along very well. Schedule's on pace. You'll be seeing pavement markings, making the street come alive, the bike lanes, the delineators, and so on, over the next few weeks. Lead service line replacements, we're starting that back up. That got started again today. We took the month of June off, so our contractor could go do work elsewhere. But right now we've got, I think it's 203 in the ground, 197 coppers identified, so that program's moving along very well as well. Water main, our second project for the year on Sylvan, will start the first week of August. The contractor's going to be moving along. We're hoping to fully wrap up Pinecrest probably like mid-August as we're waiting for some light poles to get moved by DTE. So that project should be done here pretty soon. And then Woodward, you will see a traffic shift coming in the coming weeks, where the contractor will be closing down the inside lanes, and it's probably the very beginning of August-ish, as long as the weather is good. Paving will start to occur, and that will street will really start to come alive, and then you will see all the traffic control removed for gym crews. So there's going to be no orange barrels all over the place to allow for a normal Woodward gym cruise, and then once that wraps up, contractor will be back into town to keep moving along on that project. But as it stands right now, it's looking like it's a bit above schedule, ahead of schedule, I should say. So it's been a good construction season so far. So we're hoping that that momentum keeps up as we move into the busy months where all the contractors are in the heat of everything. So we're hoping to maintain that momentum, and then we'll be on our paving project. We'll be getting into our final grouping of streets here within the next couple of weeks. So that is moving along great. So once they button that up, we're hoping, come September, we're fully done, 95% done with the local paving program. So it's been a very good year so far in terms of construction. So we're hoping to keep that moving forward. And then, I would just like to say, it has been a pleasure working here at the City of Ferndale. I really enjoyed my time here. I've really had the opportunity to work with a great group of people, whether it's, city staff, our consultants and engineers between Giffords and Hubble, Roth and Clark. They're fantastic. We've had some great contractors in town over the years. We have some great contractors in town right now doing work. Been able to learn a lot from a lot of people, and that's probably been the funnest in terms of my experience here. Is just the learning that occurred, because I had the opportunity to learn from a lot of people that did things wrong quite a bit, and then they taught me about those things, and then just the right way to do stuff. So that's been pretty cool. But I will say during my time and working in the DPW, especially on the capital investment side of things, I really enjoy that. So that's kind of the area I'll be moving into is more so the construction side of things. And this experience here at Ferndale has given me that opportunity, so I'm very grateful for that. I've been able to do a lot of cool stuff. Thinking back over the last few years, we've done tens of millions of dollars worth of capital investment in the infrastructure, and that's been fun. I've really enjoyed that. But what I will say is, in terms of the team at within the Public Works Department, it's a super solid team. That I will miss, but you're all in very good and capable hands. We'll be working on a transition, trying to get everything that I think about and have in my brain, whether it's things to look at for the rest of the 2023 construction season, and trying to finalize some decisions in terms of 2024 construction. So Giffords will keep moving, Hubble-Roth and Clark will keep moving along with the plans that we're working on in the back end of things. So it'll be a nice, smooth transition. You got a good team there, good team, like really all around the city. So it's been real, it's been fun, it's been real fun. So
All right.
looking forward to kind of my next opportunity. And I will miss my second and fourth Monday of the month, but I'll probably be getting home a little bit earlier now. So looking forward to that as well. So thank you all for the kind words. With each kind word, I died a little bit more inside. So thank you for indulging my fear of public praise. I appreciate that.
We're going to be sure to text you whenever we're done with our council meetings, just to, show our love for you at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes, I appreciate that. So, no, thank you all. And with that, I'll leave any questions with what we got going on right now.
Good, Dan.
What's the percentage of death inside?
So, thank you.
Good luck, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. You sincerely will be missed. And Mayor, the floor is yours.
I'm going to turn it over on the right side of the table tonight to start with council updates. Sar, would you like me to start with someone else?
Nope, one update. This was actually an update that came from Oakland County about families and individuals in need of food. So the Gleaners Community Food Bank is doing drive-up food distribution this week. The one that's closest to us is going to be Thursday, well, two that are close to us. Thursday, July 13th at the Public Health Oakland South Center at 27725 Greenfield Road in Southfield at 2 p.m. The second one is Friday, July 14th at Oak Park High School, so even closer. And obviously that's in Oak Park, and that's at 2 p.m. So if you're in need, please take advantage of it. It's there for a reason.
Thank you. I'm just going to go right to left tonight.
I don't have any informational or announcements, but one thing I did want to comment on after Councilmember Leaks May read the disability awareness proclamation. While I am grateful and appreciative that the ADA exists, I want to remind folks that ADA compliance is the bare minimum, not the goal. That true accessibility and inclusion is the goal. So, while we're grateful that that body of law has existed for 33 years, it's getting whittled away. I had the really devastating misfortune of litigating a case that resulted in whittling those rights away even further. It was a professional disappointment and really a tragedy for those who rely on those protections. So while we can celebrate that anniversary, remember that we need to move that goalpost much farther.
Thank you.
Oh, me? Yeah. Okay. All right, so I want to congratulate Dan again. Congratulations. And I want to congratulate Dave. Now, Dave, I think it's so fortunate because Dean has someone who, one, knows the ropes, has been involved, and will make this election year a lot easier. So congratulations to you. I'm really happy for you. And I don't have any other news other than to say, yay, I'm the mother of a Wolverine. My baby is going to you. I have got it. We've moved forward. She had her party, and we're moving forward. Now I'm going to move her in, and then I'm going to sob. But it'll be okay. Yes, so that's it. I'm really excited for her. Anyway, enough. Go ahead.
I have nothing else, Mayor.
I have nothing else either, except for I've decided to wear and promote a business T-shirt that I have bought myself for every council meeting until the end of the council meetings, and dressing them up with a jacket. So, and I just wanted to shout out to Not Sorry Goods tonight. Jess and Diamond are one of our downtown business owners, and Jess is on the DDA. I'm trying to collect as many t-shirts that I can. I'm buying them and paying for them out of pocket because I don't accept gifts from any business owner, and I haven't for 14 years. And I'm hoping we'll make a blanket out of them someday. So go
Show
visit
the
her.
wares. Show the wares. Yes. All
It
right.
says Detroit, not sorry.
Okay.
So I have a few others that I'm excited to support at the next council meetings, and just wanted to, show my support for our business community as I prepare to what I call my day crescendo out of this role. So with that, I really hope everybody's had a great and safe holiday, July 4th, and that you continue to have a safe summer. Slow down on Woodward, be mindful of people crossing the road, and have a good time. All right, everybody, have a good night. I call this meeting adjourned at 8:54.
You're about to have a collection of t-shirts, aren't you?